Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight on this fine Sunday evening? I am Peter Brown. Thank you so much for joining me here on FMTV Weekly. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Inter Miami on a massively long road trip, crossing the globe pretty much. And so lots of fun things to talk about. Higuain in rare form again. But I don't do this by myself. Let's welcome in everybody's favorite uncle. Say hi, Ed.
Peter Brown, here we are. Thanks everybody for joining us. We're very excited. Great weekend. Man, I think it's hilarious how I got to show you this picture, man, because my grandkids are trying to come in here, and this is what one of them is. She's right outside my door. Look where she put her feet.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get in here. They're trying to break in. My wife's sending me these pictures. You know how they want to be part of the show now. Eventually, I'll bring them in, but they're just a little too rowdy right now. So
that's funny.
I bet if they pretty soon they're going to start breaking in. So I'm not going to have a choice but to
start banging
introduce
on the door.
them. Yeah. So, but it's hilarious. So Peter, how's everything, man? Great weekend. Great week for Inter Miami.
Busy week for Inter Miami. They had the game on last Saturday, then again Wednesday, then again Saturday, busy week. Everybody, let's start saying hi in the chat. Because I see, I only see 2 people in the chat, and I'm sure we've got more people watching than 2. So everybody, start saying hello in the chat, and we will say hello back to you. We'll do that in a minute. But yeah, lots of fun stuff this weekend. I mean, it was exciting. But I'll tell you, Ed, and I want to get into this a little bit. Is I always say our fandom is so toxic here. It's like they get 4 points on the road, and that's we are at best a mediocre team, at best. And people are bitching and moaning about 4 points. And so, so many people complaining about firing the coach. And it's just like can't catch break. So we could talk a little bit more about that. But before we do any of that stuff, while you guys are all saying hello, let's say a big thank you to Caneswear. Caneswear is you go to get all your Inter Miami gear. And they just got in a couple of new items. They got in the new pink kit. So it took them a little while to get the pink kit. So they finally got in, and I think this one's called the Heartbeat, right, Ed? And
something like that.
And they got in also this Pride flowery training jersey that, I think people like it. It's unique,
very flowery,
unique design for sure. But they've got those for you at Caneswear, located in Davie, Florida, south of 595 on University Drive. And if that's too far for you, no problem. Go to caneswear.com, and all orders over $99 ship for free. And you can go and get your Inter Miami stuff, your Hurricane stuff. They're gearing up for the hurricane season. They've got Marlins stuff there, Dolphins, some Panther stuff in there. So your local place for all sports in South Florida. So go to Caneswear.
And caneswear.com, which is where I usually do my shopping. It's a little out of my way unless I'm going to the stadium. Then I'll stop by and buy some stuff. But caneswear.com, if it's too far for you guys, and get all your good Inter Miami, every sport you can imagine they've got. Well, South Florida, anyways. Peter.
Yes, sir.
Let's say hello to all the people in the chat room, right. And then you can let me know about the people that are in Facebook and all the other Twitter, etc. Kevin Gonzalez is the first one that I see on here. Peter Brown, he's getting that 50% off of that Papa John's. He said, "Pizza."
Yeah. Forget about that all the time. I always forget about that.
Our good friend Kata is also on. He's watching us. We've also got Jose Velasquez on here. There we go. We got Esteban Mejia. Our famous friend up in Toronto, Richard Greenberg. I gotta reach out to Richard Greenberg, Peter, because I want him to be on our nerd show one of these Mondays.
You were saying Richard's a big old nerd, huh?
Oh man, he's as nerdy as they come. He's right up there with us. So
All right.
I love to get Richard and anybody else who wants to be on that show. Just send us a message. Chris Arjun, our incredible photographer at every game. You know, I gotta say, Peter, he hasn't taken a picture of you and I lately.
Not lately.
I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, the last picture he took.
Where's the love, Chris?
The last picture he took of me looked like I might have been yawning. I remember him calling me out.
Yeah, how dare you? But it's good stuff. I don't see anybody else right now. Let me refresh this thing.
We
There
also
are a lot of
have
people on the chat right now.
Jet Pancake is in here as well.
Jet Pancake. We just met him.
Yeah.
Good
To
times.
see him the other game. One World, One Goal is in as well.
Nice.
I was saying One World's hoping that they get the gray military camo jersey. Yeah, maybe they will. You look, if you want Canesware to carry something, bug them, contact them, ask for it. You know? That's how they'll know what people want. Call them up. They're very active on social media. DM them, whatever, at them. So you know, because they sometimes ask me if I think something will sell, and you know, hit them up. So also in the chat we have a few more popping in. Doovster is here. Cheer boys and
Doovster.
Tio Lewis, another Tio.
Yeah, man.
Well.
There's a lot of Tios. And Marvin Mieles, greetings from Ecuador. Ooh, Ecuador.
Richard
Marvin
is saying that he's still debating on coming to the TFC versus Inter Miami game in Florida on August 20th. Yeah, you should come. You should come. Let us know, and
definitely
you can come hang out with us.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have a beer or two.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll be rooting for different teams, but it doesn't matter. It's all about
It's all
fun. The war's in the game, not on the outside. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So,
go see. We'll have an opportunity to see the Canadian version of the Italian national team. You know.
There you go.
That's what
they're actually doing pretty good, man.
Yeah, I know. It's working. Being the Italian national team is working. Working for them. Wait.
Yeah, my wife is
Chris Arjun saying you guys keep moving all around all over the stadium these days. No, we don't. We're sitting in the same place all the time, Chris. Section 115.
Well, because a couple of times we went and hanged out with Patrick. That's probably why. So.
Oh yeah, we did do that a couple times. We did do that a couple times, but most of the time we're in section 115, row 34. Most of the time.
Yeah.
Just when
I was going to mention to you, Peter, that Richard Greenberg's talking about coming over here. There you go, Toronto, Italia FC. My wife actually wants to go to Toronto for that game in September. We're just hoping for her passport comes in time, and we might just do it.
I hear Toronto is beautiful.
We'll definitely meet up with Richard if that happens.
Yeah, I hear it's great.
And I think that's it for now. And
chats. Yep. All right. Well, there we go. Ed.
Thanks, Richard. Richard's even telling us he'll take us around town, so that's good. Hopefully that'll materialize. That'll be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, keep it going in the chat, guys. There's not. I mean, I don't have a whole lot on my agenda. I'm not pissed off. I have nothing really to complain about. But
we're happy for a change.
Exactly. Yeah. But I like I said, I was like, hang on, let's do this too. If you want to call 786-474-4435. We have one voicemail so far. And I'm gonna let you guess who's the first one in on voicemail.
Oh, I can imagine.
Never guess. You will never guess who the first one
is. The person never calls in ever.
Right.
But
right.
Peter. Wow, let's start off with Montreal. I hope you got to see the game. I only saw bits and pieces. I was working, unfortunately. So tell us a little bit about that game. What were your thoughts?
With the Montreal game, or you were working yesterday?
I'm sorry, not Montreal. The other game. Who they play? Forgot. See? I forget these things. I forget everything.
San Jose. The other
San Jose, and we beat San Jose. How could I
they
forget
played
that?
two teams that both wear blue and black.
I'm getting old.
Both teams wear blue.
I'm getting
and black.
old, Peter.
Yeah, that game actually worked out really good for me because that was Wednesday night, and so Wednesday night, I think I mentioned it here. I was going to the Marlins game, so I went to the Marlins game, had a great time. Marlins won against the Cincinnati Reds, and I had great third base seats. So real nice seats. Had a great time, but I was like, oh man, it stinks is that I'm probably going to end up missing the Inter-Miami game. Well, luckily, the Inter-Miami game started at 10:30 p.m. and I was home by then because the baseball games can go for quite a long time, but this one was a fairly quick game, and I was able, and I was in no rush to get out of there. I kind of took my time. I couldn't find my car. They got several garages, but I got home in time, literally like 5 minutes before game time, flipped it on, and it was fun. 1-0 Inter-Miami wins. We all know that. And how many times, Ed, have I told you that, Mata, one of these days, is going to take a shot from 30 yards out, and actually we're going to say, wow, holy cow, it's all these misses have been worth it. Because that's exactly what happened.
Well, that's true.
That's exactly
what happened. It's incredible, man. That was a great goal too, man. I mean, that was, it's about time he scores. He's tried like a lot. I think, he's at least 20 shots, if not more.
More, yeah.
And he finally scores.
That was a funny thing is Ray Hudson even made a comment like, look, it's a beautiful goal. Most of those end up in like row X, I think is what he said. So, because he is never concerned or worried about taking that shot. He will take it every single time, and 99% of the time he will miss it. But I'm always when we're sitting there watching these games, I'm always telling you, he's going to do it one time, and we're going to be like, holy cow, the most amazing goal of the year, and that was definitely up there. Very great goal, and
and awesome.
And it won the game.
Awesome.
It won the game for us.
Oh, look, my wife's on. Oh goodness.
Sometimes our wives like to come and play along, right?
Yeah, she's hilarious. I'm surprised actually, and I didn't realize she had a YouTube channel. I think I made it for her. I don't remember. I made her an Instagram. She never used it.
Yeah.
I put one picture up and that was it. So
they fly out to San Jose, and that's the thing. And in the one thing that I've been listening to over and over again is you listen to the coach talk and players talk and all that. And the one thing they all complained about or talk about is the travel, and that's why 7,200 miles. That's what I saw that was the amount of miles they traveled. And he was, Neville was basically saying whoever thought of this schedule is nuts. That any team to go from and look, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know where Montreal is other than it's north, but I'm guessing it's on the east. I'm guessing
it is.
Right?
It is.
Oh, okay. So I don't know Canada. I don't know. It's above us. That's all I know, right? But the fact that they're making a big deal.
It's America's hat.
Right. Right. The fact that they're making such a big deal about it, obviously it's going from West Coast to East Coast. So the scheduling should have been, I guess, maybe more like we go to Montreal, then maybe, a few,
or Vancouver or something, it's something that was in that area.
Right.
But yeah, they totally made them travel a lot, but the results were good. We were able to get those results, man, which I think is really important.
It is, and
yeah, Steve Munoz was.
Yeah. A lot of the players complain is just this is nuts, and hopefully the league takes note that. Look, I mean, sometimes you have no control over it, and I'm guessing that may have been the case. It just kind of ended up somebody has to suffer, some team, and it was us this time. These are things that Rooney complained about when he was a player for DC United. He complained about similar issues. So, But yeah, they and you know that travel in the Montreal game I thought really showed. They looked tired in that game. I think you chatted me at one point during the game. You were hoping that Montreal would look tired, but we were the ones that looked dead tired. And you know, they say that the travel takes a lot out of you. I mean, I guess the flight and because I know when I take a flight, and I'm not some kind of an athlete, but when I get off of a plane, even though I'm just sitting on my butt the whole time, you're tired. I don't know if it's the pressure. I don't know what it is about it, but it does kind of tire you out. And they definitely look
Sure, it sure
tired.
does.
But
yeah, they did. But I'm pretty happy. I mean, what I saw against Montreal is that they kept coming back. They scored goals on them. Your favorite Higuain is still on fire. He equaled in the amount of goals. He's the highest goal scorer on the team now, tied with Campana.
mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing. And the way that it looks now, unfortunately, Campana got hurt, and he's probably going to be out for a month. So that that's kind of worrying. But Higuain, he's in great form. As a matter of fact, he's in such great form. There you go. Peter even got his jersey with the Higuain, number and name in the back. So that tells you how much Peter has changed his outlook on Higuain.
It's like I've always said here on this channel. I've always said how great Higuain is, and he's such a class player. And I stand by my statements throughout the history of this channel of saying how amazing of a player he is, and he just did not have the right people around him to show the pure class that he has always been. I've always said that. I mean, you guys know that.
Right. And especially your wife, I know how much she loves Higuain. So you guys are, incredibly supportive.
She is his biggest fan and has always been his biggest fan. But Ed, when you're a fan of somebody, you know how sometimes the people you love, you're the hardest on? That's just kind of what it is. When you love somebody, you're harder on the people you love. That's what it really is. Or maybe
when you love someone, set them free, says Sting in that Police song.
Yeah, or maybe it's a complete opposite, and we really never like the guy, and
he's doing well.
Yeah, but,
and I think he's the starter even when Campana comes back. I think Campana's going to be on the bench, man.
That is a very good. How do you? It's no different than when Calendar, is playing, and then Marsman is ready to come in. You can't take Calendar out because he's hot. It's the same kind of thing. You can't take Higuain out because he's hot right now, and he's. I think I said this to you. I don't know if it was at the game or on the last show, but it seems like Higuain's not dropping back as much, and I'm guessing it's because he has a little more of a sense of security that Pozuelo can do the job. And so he doesn't need to drop back as much. And Pozuelo is making a difference in getting him the passes, but not just Pozuelo. Pozuelo gets the assist on that goal from Higuain, and that was a great goal in up there in Montreal by Higuain, that little chip goal. But and Pozuelo gets the assist. But really, Bryce Duke, who does a little spin and gets the ball to Pozuelo. I mean, that was an amazing little play by him, and I think it's that play that and a few others that earned him Heineken Man of the Match.
Right.
Which
they definitely got chemistry now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I was surprised that Bryce Duke got the Man of the Match because that quite often goes to somebody that scores, and he didn't score, but he was so impactful in the game. So
I'm so excited. Hopefully, we can keep Duke for a while because he's just growing. He's going to eventually dominate that position. It's exciting to see him. He's natural team, I think, material. If not now, maybe soon in the future. But the team's starting to look a lot better. And we're coming back to Miami, South Florida, with a couple of home games that are must wins, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Those are going to be tough to win, but they have to win those games, man, because we need the points. And if we want to make the playoffs, I'm just happy that Orlando has had like a terrible form lately, and they're down to our level.
They're down to our level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Coming up though, you were saying we have New York City coming up, and the league champs. That's going to be a hard game. We've already lost to them recently, so that's still fresh. But I think DC United just beat New York. I think it was no. It was Columbus. Columbus that just beat this weekend. Columbus beat New York. So but we just lost them. I don't know. That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a real.
So what you're saying is we've got a chance.
I mean, we always got a chance. That's I guess what I'm saying. And then then we welcome in Toronto on the 20th.
There's a chance.
Yeah, but something
Dumb and Dumber.
Something Luis is mentioning, and I noticed as well, and more to it though, is Luis is saying that Higuain cut down on the hands thing when plays don't work out how he wanted. Less of this. You know what I did notice? He's not only is he not doing that, he's actually applauding and raising his hand to say, applauding kind of the effort. I saw that many times in the Montreal game for balls that didn't quite get there. He still said thank you to the other player for the effort. He never did that before. If it wasn't,
I think he's learning from Campana, because Campana always did that. When they were trying to do passes and they didn't get to him, he was always, I never saw him complain.
Right.
Hopefully, Higuain saw a little bit of that. It does a lot for the team's morale.
Exactly.
That their best player doesn't, start telling them that they suck. Because that was basically what he was saying. You guys suck. What am I doing in this league? I play for the best teams in the world, and now I'm, they can't even make a great pass to me. They can't even make a pass to me. So, what have I done coming to this league? That was kind of like, what you would read off of the guy.
Yeah. Jeff Pancake, Gregory, Mata, Pozuelo midfield is starting to gel nicely, but now you also have to think of putting Bryce Duke in there. Bryce Duke has made an argument that he needs to be a starter in this trio there. He needs to be a fourth member of that trio. He's here Steve Munoz says best midfield also helps. Duke, Pozuelo, Gregory, and Mata. They're all working together. And the thing is, I think Duke is so important to this midfield because if any one of these players kind of loses the ball, quite often Duke is right there because he's just like a little speedy rabbit all over the field, and he quite often is there to pick up that ball and just
he's
keep
like
moving.
A chihuahua is like he is.
He's like nipping
tough little chihuahua.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There you go. That's him.
Yep. He's like, you ever, and I think it was the Tom and Jerry cartoons, I think it was. You know how you had Spike, the big dog? And then you had that little dog next to Spike, and he's always like, hey, Spike, come on, Spike, hey, Spike, come on, Spike. That's Bryce Duke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kick
his ass, man. Kick his ass. Kind of like that, right?
Yeah, he's all over the field.
Right.
Richard Greenberg saying Pozuelo is such a great player. He's happy that he's helping Inter Miami. A new Weissman up from Atlanta says Higuain picked up lately. So a thought came to my mind watching this game. And I know it sounds crazy, but is it too early? So this is Higuain's last year, but there is an option. And anytime anybody's asked me if Higuain's coming back, I said no chance. Is he making is there an argument to say maybe you bring him back if he wants? Because the option's got to be mutual.
Yeah, right? I think it's starting to look like, and I think a lot of fans would probably support his coming back. He continues with this form the next 10 games, man. Even Peter Brown is going to want him back. The thought is in my head. But the problem is, can he keep this up? Can he keep the good attitude? Can he keep up? I mean, he seems like and I really think it's since Pozuelo's joined this team,
he's a different guy. And that just tells you two things. One, maybe he's learned. I don't know. I'm just thinking, has he learned kind of what you were saying before? Has he learned to be humble? Has Campana rubbed off on him, right? In that regard. Right. And then getting a actual midfield general like Pozuelo, that just tells you the team wasn't put together well from the beginning. Like we got big name players, but they weren't the right players.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think Pozuelo's coming in to the team has made a difference, and it's definitely helped Higuain's chances. He sees another player there that's, we could say, up to his level. So I think that does a lot for the way that he's seeing the game, and the thing about Higuain, yes, he doesn't go back and defend. Yes, he's slow. But the guy could score, man. I mean, you give that guy the ball in that box or outside of the box, and he will score. He'll make space for himself and score. So, that's why I was complaining. I think yesterday's game, I was like, we were tweeting. Now we were WhatsApping to each other. We've got this little group, and I was telling you, dude, when they took him out, I was like, no, he's the only guy that could score on our team, and it's unfortunate because it's true. He's the only one that could score. So. With Campana being out, for me, it's kind of scary because there's nobody else that could score. Fortunately, Emerson scored. Dude, he's got a lot of speed, but when it comes to shooting, man, he shot. He didn't have a good shot again, but he was able to get up, and that's the good thing about the young players, man. They could be down. An older player probably would have try to create a penalty or something, but he got straight up.
Yeah, if that had happened to Higuain, we're promoting him so much and we're clapping for him. Had that happened to him, he would have stayed on the ground and just looked at the ref and started complaining and just looking for the foul and wanting the penalty and being mad. And that's a lot and that's not just because I'm picking on Higuain. It's what you said. Veteran players tend to do that more. A young guy like someone like Bryce Duke or Emerson, they're just like, they don't know better. They're just like, it's kind of like when you were taught as a kid, you just say, get up and go, get up, never stop. Don't stop until you hear the whistle. Keep going. And these young guys, that's how they play. And you just wish everybody played that way. Steve Munoz is mentioning, I saw this on Twitter, I think it was. Duke said his new BFF is Emerson, and he calls him Rayito. Why? Oh. What would that? I don't.
Rayito means it's kind of like lightning flash or whatever. He's fast. That's for sure. The kid's fast, and Rayito's a good name for him.
Yeah.
And Rayito, Emerson and Rayito or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, I'm sure it does a lot of good for his confidence. He got that tying goal, and scoring is definitely a good thing. So, I'm afraid he's gonna try to score more often.
Well,
and he hasn't proven to be the best goal scorer.
Well, but maybe this goal gives him confidence. I don't know. But that's the one thing that Neville always is harping on is that he just needs to keep practicing. They got to keep working on it and things like that. And that's some of the complaints that I've seen online is people saying like, look, this isn't school, right? We shouldn't be playing a guy in the first team that is having to, in the press conferences, all Phil keeps talking about when Emerson comes up is that he's got talent, he's fast, he gets in open spaces, but he's just got to keep practice, got to keep working on it. He can't finish, he's got to keep working on that. And if that's the case, that's the kind of player you put on your 2 team, not in your primary team. But in a perfect world, he might be on the 2 team. But with our sanctions and things like that, he's on the first team and he's getting minutes, and that's one of the complaints. People saying this is not school, but he definitely's got talent there. He just like everybody says, he's got to keep practicing on his finishing.
And Steve Munoz says it right. It means little lightning.
Oh, okay, all
right. Rayito, yeah, it's got that diminutive term. Yeah, little lightning.
Going back to Higuain staying or not, Deucer says Higuain stays if Pozuelo stays. And that is an if, right? Because Pozuelo's contract is up. This is his trial year. And I think he's passed. I think I think Inter Miami at this point is probably working out a contract right now that they would present to him at the end of the season or before I don't know when you do it, but I would imagine right now they're working on something because he has stated before he wants to stay in the United States. He wants to stay in MLS. He wanted to stay in Toronto.
Right.
So
he probably loves it here. He speaks the language. Yeah. It's Miami. But Peter, okay, so you're talking right now that if the season would end tomorrow, we already have 2 DPs locked, is what you're telling me. Pozuelo would stay, and Higuain would stay.
I am still torn. And Steve Munoz says, no, do not extend. He would still take a DP spot, an international spot, and will be 35. So I would say, could you
bring him down to TAM level?
Yes. Can you negotiate Higuain's deal down? Is there a way to negotiate his deal down to a TAM level player and just say, let's finish out your career strong? Promise him something in the back end as far as we'll give you a cushy coaching job where you really don't have to do anything, but we'll give you a boatload of money then after you're retired. They could do stuff like that. I'm sure. I think that's legal. Yeah, you never know.
I think he'd probably go for that. Now his brother's already working with the academy.
Right.
He's in soccer. He stays in a cool city that apparently he likes.
Right. So if you could bring him down to a TAM level, I'd say yes. If you cannot, I know I'm the one that proposed the question, but if he's at a DP level, I'm still standing by too little, too late. But
look at Kata saying, Gonzalo on TAM Max. We need another DP player. So some of these guys are saying they're kind of okay with your idea, Peter.
Yeah. Roberto says, agreed. Let's be realistic. Higuain is not a DP anymore. He's on fire today, but what about tomorrow? Esteban Mejia says Gonzalo at DP level is not a good value. However, Jet Pancake is saying he cannot see Gonzalo taking a TAM deal. I think it's all about how you structure it. So, like I said, if you can structure it to where you're promising him some cushy front office job or a coaching job after the fact where you're going to overpay him, for what he's worth, as a coach, then sure. Richard is saying, is Higuain's contract over at the end of the season? I didn't see him on the free agent list at the end of this season. So there's one more year, but it's a option year. So it's a team option. And so, the question has been, we assume he's done. And so,
right. So there's people will want him back, it seems, but if he goes down to TAM level, some people think that he's not going to want to do that because he's used to the money. But who knows, man? Maybe he's got one more year. If he goes down to TAM, I'd take him.
Yeah. Tank is saying here, Bruno is saying, I'll take Pizarro, Pozuelo tandem, and then probably make Campana a DP. Pizarro. Because Pizarro is still one of our players. He's on loan. So that DP spot is still taken. And he has one more year on that contract. I think I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. He's got one more year on that contract. So we have to sell him, or we don't have that DP spot, or we buy his contract out, right? So you could buy out one player per year. This year they bought out Matuidi. And so they could potentially buy him out of the contract if they wanted. Or you call him back. But from what I understand, he's not playing well in, Monterey? I think that's where he is.
Yeah, I remember he got hurt. And, he for a little bit there, he was playing decently. Then he got hurt. And but there were a lot of criticism. They're not even calling him up to the national team anymore. So, that's a bad situation for them. I guess his value has gone down. It hurt him to come to Miami, and it hurt him to go back to Mexico. He just lost his form apparently.
Yeah.
So
Aldo De Lucia is saying definitely not a good idea. We don't even know if he can coach. Talk about if giving Higuain look. When I say giving Higuain a coaching job, it's a coaching job. It's make him an ambassador. Then I'm just saying you convince him to take less money in the season because you're promising him a nice cushy position within the team, within the organization after he retires. And then it doesn't count for MLS payroll.
He's got
or anything
job
like that.
security, right?
And you can overpay him for what his value is in that situation, which makes up for him taking lower salary on his last year of play. I don't know. I'm just trying to get creative. In a way to get him
that
to retain.
And the guy's got a hell of a career. A lot of kids are gonna love having, his experience, knowing that World Cup. Player caliber player was, is their coach. That's a big deal, man. Looks good on anybody's resume.
Having said all that, I have said before on this channel that I would never want him to be one of our coaches because he does not, man, it's thundering out here. My whole house.
Think he'll be complaining?
Yeah, exactly. Like, is he the kind of leader you want for your youth? Your young
but he's changing, Peter. You're telling me he's changing. I
know, but I don't know. So, but exactly. But when I'm saying giving him a coaching job, it's I like what Luis Rodriguez says. Ask yourself, what would Tubby do? And
no, this is what Tubby would do. That's what Tubby.
And do the opposite. And do the opposite. But here's Richard Greenberg saying, I'm pretty sure Inter Miami can find a better and younger DP in the January transfer window. Yeah, so exactly. So Higuain's in good form at the moment, but still he's only 8 goals this year, and which is tied with Campana right now. And I've said when he signed, I think we were saying minimum he needed to score in one season 15 goals, otherwise it's a failure. And he's not. Right. He hasn't done that, and I think that's fair. I think that to say 15, I think is a fair request, and he hasn't done that. So he's at 8. And they got, I think, 10 more games left, something like that. 10
more games,
Yeah, I don't see getting another 7 goals to meet my goal for him.
Peter Brown's, level,
lofty goals.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I think that's a good idea of what hopefully will happen next year if he stays, if he goes. If he stays, I think it would be great if he goes down to the TAM level. But we definitely need, I think, some new blood, some new DPs, I think Pizarro should also go. I think we should buy him out. Let's use that DP spot for somebody else. He already played for us. He did okay, a little bit. Not as good as we would have wanted him to do. But we need new faces. Pozuelo, definitely sign him. I think he's still young enough to be worth it in the midfield as our general for the next year or two. And then, get Campana for sure, man. If they can buy the guy, I think he's young enough. He could be the face of this team for a few years. And
well, that's what Jet
hopefully he'll stay healthy.
Jet Pancake is asking, are we still so sure about keeping Campana for next season? He's definitely cooled down. So he has. And so are we still so high on Campana?
Well, it determines. It needs to. We need to see what happens when he comes back. He's going to miss, 4 or 5 games?
Well, I think Neville said worst case scenario, 4 or 5 games. But I think he has cooled down, but he's such a team player. I think you definitely bring him back. If you could bring him back and still not pay him DP money?
Even better.
I mean, it's a done deal. You do it.
Look at LAFC, man. How in tarnations are they getting away with murder like that? And they're winning games, away games, and they're basically the best team in the league right now. And but somehow MLS looks the other way. And they need to look the other way for Inter Miami. Come on, guys.
I said before, if some people have called into question what LAFC has done, including another GM for another MLS team. I forget who it was. I was reading an article on The Athletic, and there was a GM that basically called out LAFC, said they're cheating. And this GM, people kind of railed at him a little bit, saying it's not cool. But,
he's saying the truth, probably.
I kind of jokingly say, as long as MLS is in on the cheating, as long as they know what you're cheating and you're doing, they'll help you cheat. The fact that we did it without telling them and hiding it from them is the problem.
Bad.
Yeah.
This is it. Bad.
You got it. If you want to cheat, tell us, and we'll help you. But Luis Rodriguez saying, yes, keep Campana. Damn, Miami fans are ruthless. Hey, look. Fans are ruthless here. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. That's for sure. And Miami fans are they could be considered one of the worst,
they're pretty toxic.
Bandwagon, toxic, dude. Just like our women.
Everybody.
I mean,
what?
Nothing. That could get me in trouble.
Yes, you could. She was in this chat just minutes ago.
And she's gonna type in right now. I heard that.
Yeah. But, I lost my train of thought.
With the whole toxic thing.
I don't know. I lost. Hey, let's why don't we do a voicemail?
Let's do it.
It's time for your voicemail.
Hello.
Hey, Peter and Uncle Ed and all the great fans. It's time. One world, one goal. He gets knocked down and he gets up again. Ray Hudson was singing on the broadcast. Reminded me of the old Fusion days for another Colombian we had that played like that, but luckily found the net a little more. I'm so glad for Rodriguez and Higuain. I wonder what Mrs. Peter was thinking. The dude is showing he's world class. He just runs out of gas. Oh, that rhymed. And these wins and ties, they weren't pretty, and it's kind of funny because you didn't even really feel happy because you felt there was so many plays that went missing. But this is what a team has to do, to grind it out in a long season, and I think there's been great improvement. So love you guys, love the show. Ciao for now. Have a great week.
All right, thank you there. She's always going to bring it back to the Fusion, somehow bring in Diego, but Ray Hudson was in rare form. What was that quote that he used on that goal?
Oh, he said it was as sweet as a mother's kiss, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. As sweet as a mother's kiss.
And or not sweet as what was it? Oh, gentle.
Oh, okay.
It was as gentle as a mother's kiss. There you go. That Ray Hudson, love his quotes, man. Crazy. I used to love his press conferences back in the day, man. They were the best.
Yeah, I thought it was funny watching the game because the Kevin Stott, who was the referee, that guy's been a referee in MLS forever. I recognized him when he came out, but he was letting a lot go in the game, and Kalen Kyle, doing the commentary alongside Ray, was saying that a lot of those fouls should have been called fouls. A lot of those, there's a lot of, tripping of Bryce Duke and beating up on Bryce Duke a little. And she was like, those should have been called. And Ray just kept saying, let the boys play. Let the boys play. Back in my day, back in my days, we would do this or we would do that. I love their little banter back and forth. Soft as a mother's kiss. One world, one goal remembers it. Dana, welcome to the show. I've not seen this name before, but thanks for joining us. Has a question. If MLS had relegation, would Inter Miami survive? as of right now, yes. So let's talk about that. As of right now, we are in a 4-way tie for that seventh spot. Right now, Chicago still has that, I guess, on goal differential and all that kind of stuff.
Look at our goal difference, terrible goal difference that we have.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So we still have some ground to cover because of that. But we're right behind Orlando. Remember Orlando? You mentioned it before. Orlando was hot. They were near the top of the table earlier in the season. Now they're dropping down to our level. So we're duking it out with them. And look, Toronto is not doing well this year. But they may be figuring it out a little bit. So
they're not too far off.
Yeah, the games that we've got coming up. And New York right now is sitting in second place. That's our next game. So, but yeah, I mean, I would say I think fun question. The promotion relegation thing that people love to talk about. I don't think it'll ever happen. I've always said this: the only way promotion relegation ever happens in this country is if MLS creates a second league, which they have with MLS Next, and then you promote from within that. So it's within the same company, So that's the only. You're never going to see a USL team promoted up into an MLS structure. I don't think you'll ever see that. But potentially, you could say, well, the way you get into MLS is through MLS Next Pro because we've already used up all of our spots. We don't want to expand past 32 teams, and so you have to come in MLS Next Pro, and then someday they bring in
MLS Next Pro. What they could do is there should be a lower fee maybe for them to get into that league.
Yeah.
Have them play for a little while, and then if they qualify to go up, they pay, I guess, I don't know, something else to go up. I don't know. They'll figure out something. Yeah. But if I think a lot of teams would pay for a lower fee to get into the second division, just for the chance to get into the first. So they could manage something like that, maybe to say, okay, we do have relegation, but we can talk about this forever. So
exactly, and I don't know if we'll ever see it in our lifetime. But to Dana's point, would we survive? And right now, I'd say yeah. I mean. If there was promotion relegation, I don't remember what is it usually like the bottom 4 teams or something like that, So you'd see well, let me go to the
bottom 3. I think in
is that what it is?
England, the bottom 3 in the Premier go down, and the fourth, I think it's the fourth they play an elimination game or something like that.
Yeah, and so you'd see potentially, Kansas City, San Jose fighting, Toronto, DC right now fighting for those, to move up. So, I would think yes, we would make it. Jet Pancake saying about our Orlando stuff, and this is true. Orlando always seems to fall apart in summer. Richard says, yeah, looks like TFC would be relegated for next season.
Yeah, well, who knows? There's still enough games for them to come back, and they're not too far from Inter Miami in that group of 4 teams. So, it could all change. If Inter Miami loses all their games, we could be relegated.
Of course,
because those things could happen.
Of course. Richard Greenberg also mentions with the Apple TV deal for next season, MLS needs to get rid of TAM, GAM, and DPs and just make a hard salary cap. Yeah, I would love that. And let the teams spend the money how they want to spend the money, and you also need to, if you're going to have a salary cap, you have to have a salary bottom too, because you're going to have some teams and it's more the legacy teams like your Colorados, your Dallas, New England to some extent,
Salt Lake. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that don't spend and don't want to spend. And so you'd have to put like the floor, like you have to spend at least this much. But yeah, I mean, that's what we've all been asking for forever.
They need to be somewhat competitive with the rest of the teams. Otherwise, we're going to have another NASL again.
Well, I don't think they have. I don't think MLS has to worry about that at this point. I mean, their structure is sound. But you could still control spending because like the owners are still look at what the owners are spending on average. And I mean, I don't know what that number is, but whatever, because include the DPs, right? So they're spending extra money out of their pocket. So they're already spending that money. Just put that all in a hard salary cap, like Richard's saying. So, because I mean, most of the teams have at least one DP, and so they're going above. They're spending above the salary cap, and so just make it a hard salary. In that actually, get rid of all these complicated rules, and that benefits also the American player because right now, and that's one of the things that some of the players in the CBA complain about is that all this TAM money was going to foreign players, and there wasn't a lot of money available for your American player that proves himself maybe in the MLS, unless they're an American player that has played overseas and they're bringing them back. But if it's just like say a Bryce Duke, that you're homegrown and growing and there's no big ball, a pound of cash waiting for him. But if it's just you have this bucket of money and you could just do whatever you want with it and spend it how you want. You can reward those players like a Bryce Duke, for example.
Yeah.
Oops. The Steve Munoz says the cheap bum ass teams.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
But we got those other teams that are willing to spend in New York City FC, LAFC, the Galaxy. I mean, there's Inter Miami.
Yeah.
And I think we're not doing bad for considering we've got all those fines against us and stuff. I think we're still competitive.
Think about that.
So
this is the year we're supposed to be really feeling the fact that we're penalized and we're competitive. We're not,
right.
The top. And that's where, I think when I read some of these comments on social media, these people that are just bitching about the coach all the time and things like that, I think these people just don't know MLS, right? And they just don't get it that, we were sanctioned and there's all these salary rules and you can't just bring in any player you want and things like that. And they just bitch and bitch and bitch thinking this is Europe or South America or something like that. They could do whatever you want. But the fact that we got the sanctions, we found, Chris Henderson found a way to put on a competitive team, in a sanctioned year. And we have one more to deal with this. So.
Got that shark going.
Yeah.
Kata shark going.
There are rumors of possibly adding 2 more DPs. I don't know how true it is. Well, first they got to get rid of Pizarro and Higuain. Right? In order to get the DPs.
He's talking about what? Is he talking about that or that they're going to add 2 DPs to the already 3?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, clarify. Are you talking about the rules may change or the fact that Inter Miami might? If the rules change and they open it up to allowing teams to have 5, that'd be cool. Steve Munoz saying, yeah, people think MLS is a FIFA video game. Henderson's doing a really amazing job. So, yep, he's worked wonders with little.
Imagine if we would have had him from the beginning instead of having, Tubby.
And an interesting thing, he interviewed for the job at the beginning. They turned him down. They interviewed him and didn't go for it. So, hey, I give him hats off the fact that he came back for a second interview a couple years later, and then they give him the job. It's like, we're sorry. We should have taken you to begin with. So Kata's saying
we should have taken him from the get-go.
Yeah, Kata's saying he's hearing 2 more DP spots, so total of 5. Hey, that'd be great. I don't know.
Wow.
I haven't heard any rumors about that. But
that would definitely make the team, the league, a lot more powerful because then we can really have some killer teams, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if you want to still keep the complicated rules, then at least, give them more flexibility with it. Give them some more things to play around with. Richard Greenberg is saying Lorenzo Insigne is getting $15 million a season, probably more than the Colorado Rapids team salary altogether.
15. Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So he's the highest payer in Major League Soccer right now?
I think so. That
highest paid player?
That has to be. So, all right, Ed, what else is on your mind? I mean, we've got New York coming up. And then after that is Toronto. So 2 tough home games. We kind of have to win those games. We're in that situation where we've got to, win, and then maybe we can get some help with some Orlando continuing to tank. And but what are you thinking?
Yeah. I'm thinking, we definitely have a good chance of making the playoffs. We need to get those wins at home. We haven't been good, on the road. Hopefully, that has changed with this little, this little road trip right here was good for us, and hopefully, like I said, we can build on that. But we definitely need to get those points at home. Tough games coming ahead. New York City FC, our last champion. We need to get those 3 points in Toronto, who's starting to turn around. They got, half of the Italian national team on there. So, that's going to be tough for us as well. But we need to come through and we need to win and, make those playoffs. I think we could come on strong. And hopefully by then, we get some of these hurt players to come back and help make our bench a little, make our future look a lot brighter, man, because it's kind of tough right now. They're doing good work, man. I'm enjoying seeing Bryce do his thing. The back line is still a little, iffy.
Speaking of that,
but we're getting there.
How bad was McVay in this last game? He was awful.
He
was responsible in some way for both goals. He, it was kind of on the first, it was soft defending, in my opinion, and then the handball. So, and not only that, I mean, just the whole game, I thought he was horrible.
Yeah,
people love him.
And dude, sometimes players have bad days. Yeah, he had a bad day. Hopefully that's it. But I'm hoping some of these players pick up the. It was good seeing a couple of new players. What was that one player? Jones, I think he came in.
Yeah, well, he's not new, but Kata's asking about that. Thoughts on Emerson or Jones as left back? Emerson, no. Keep him on the wing and bring him in second half, stuff like that. Let him do what he's doing. But Jovan Jones coming back from injury, he's been out the whole year, and so it feels like he's a new player. I forgot that he's good. I mean, before, because he hasn't played a whole lot for us. He did get some time, but he spent a lot of time hurt. He's looked great these last couple games.
Yeah.
So I think I would love to see more of Jovan Jones out there. Richard,
and maybe
Greenberg,
move McVay towards the center and get instead of Saylor or we'll see.
Richard Greenberg posing an interesting conversation thing. If Seattle GM moves to the big Atlanta president job, they say Seattle will go after Inter Miami's Henderson. And I haven't read that, but that's an interesting thing that that's where Moss has to put his money where his mouth is, right? You can't let that happen because I think that is a job that Henderson might be interested in going back to the team that he helped build. He worked for Seattle for so long. I think he could be interested in that, Yeah,
so that's not good for us, man.
Because we'd be starting over again and again and again, and you're just never getting anywhere, So that would
we need him to stay, man.
That's where
we need him to stay.
Moss needs to back up the Brinks truck and just say, how much does it take to keep you here?
We got a couple trucks for you, buddy.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. And Esteban brings up an interesting point about the DPs, and there's something to this. I don't think that the Players Association would want more DP spots because those spots usually go to international players, not MLS grown players. That's what I was talking about, is that as far as the players complaining about how the TAM and GAM and all that kind of money is spent, it's not enough of it spent on MLS players, and it's always going towards international. And yeah, just saying that MLS wants to add 2 more DP spots, it's not as easy as that. There's a collective bargaining agreement already made. They would have to modify that agreement They would have to get the Players Association on board, which that's always a challenge. It always goes down to the last second when they're negotiating these contracts. There's always a potential threat of strike. Luckily, it hasn't happened. So it's not as easy as just MLS saying, this is what we want to do. We're going to enact it. So that is a good point.
And what could happen there? I mean, unless they make the DPs say, oh, okay, the other two DP spots are for American players or Canadian players.
But see, you can't.
That could be.
You can't.
Something that they.
But see, I don't want. That's just more convoluted rules then for the making MLS.
Well, that's how MLS was built. Yes. But, that's the only way I could see that happening. If, 5 DPs is a lot. And like you said, it's usually going to go to international players. Well, they need to find a way to avoid that, keep some of our American players here in the States. So maybe 1 or 2 of those spots have to be for an American. I'd say at least 1.
I don't know.
Just throwing it out there.
Roberto is asking, what role does Breck Shea and Robbie Robinson have on this new team when they return? Breck doesn't have a role, I don't think. I think Breck's done. I mean, we're nearing the end of the season. I mean, they won't renew his contract. And Robbie, I'm not sure when his contract expires.
Well, I don't know. His contract's pretty low, and he occupies a lot of spaces. But yeah, he's been hurt for a while,
right.
And right before he got hurt, his level went down.
Right.
If he could bring it back up, like I said, he's cheap and he covers the whole left side.
I think he's done. Jet Pancake says he thinks Robbie is done too. Mr. Glass. So that's all. I'd have to look it up and see how long his contract is. Because if he's still on his rookie contract, he's cheap, right? So you keep him based on that.
Keep him.
But Kata saying nobody's missing Robbie. #facts. Steve Munoz says Robbie's officially a bust. I hope he gets traded. So that's also another thing too. Is that
he had his moments, but not enough moments.
If there's any value for him, you might move him and just say, "Good luck, buddy. Thanks, but you're just too sensitive. I mean, not sensitive, but I mean too fragile.
Mm-hmm.
Too fragile." So
right.
Nabil Janania is checking in here at the end of the show, and that is basically where we're at, Ed. We're basically at the end. We did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
Wow. That's that sure went by quick, because we're doing good, and it's once again exciting to be an Inter Miami fan, and Peter, I see us making the playoffs if we continue with this form. If Higuain continues to work well with Pozuelo, they got that chemistry going. I think we can make it. Mr. Glass.
God, it says get traded and turn into Brandon Vasquez. Just watch. Jet Pancake thinks Robbie's contract ends this season. Yeah, I'm not sure how. Yeah, how long are the rookie contracts? Is it 3 years, or is it a 4-year contract? I'm not sure. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So the question is, how well do they do against New York City? That's a real big test here next Saturday. See how they do against New York at Drive Pink Stadium. We need to fill the that stadium, and support these guys as they come home and all that kind of stuff. It should be a lot of fun. I know you and I will be there, but that about wraps it up. And I first off want to say thank you to everybody in the chat room. You guys were awesome, very active, a lot of fun. You guys make it fun to sit here and do this with you. So thanks so much for everybody in the chat. Thanks for everybody that's watching this later. If you weren't in the chat, because there's a few people that chat all the time going, damn it, I missed it again. And they're watching it later. That's okay. You just don't get to have fun in the chat. But
you could also listen to us on every podcast on the face of the earth, almost.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, if you guys can't get enough of us tonight, tomorrow night at 9 p.m., the FMTV Nerd Show with Peter Brown and Uncle Ed talking all your nerdy stuff. Peter, what are we going to talk about?
Well, I mean, there's definitely some news to talk about next week. I mean, you've got the Andor show just about to come up, but bigger news is Warner Brothers Discovery. The Discovery Channel is the new owner of Warner Brothers, and they just canceled a whole bunch of DC products, including Batgirl with Michael Keaton was in that, and they canceled it. I mean, it was done basically. We got some stuff to talk about tomorrow.
A lot of stuff to talk about.
A lot of fun stuff to
We're
talk about.
We're going to go over a couple a couple of trailers, and that should be a lot of fun. So don't miss us tomorrow, guys. 9 p.m. live.
Yeah, and like Kata says, go to Caneswear, and you can put it on our tab on section 115, row 30. Exactly, that's where we are, row 30. You put it on whoever's sitting in row 30, you can put it on their tab, because we don't sit in row 30. But
close.
Thanks.
You're close.
You're close, but a little bit off. Hey, everybody, thanks so much. And as Chris Arjun is saying, reminding everybody, please like, share, and subscribe. Liking the video tells us that you like the content, and so we should continue doing the same kind of content. So please, give us a like on that and tell your friends about it. So thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we will see you. Well, we'll see you tomorrow or next week.